Item is an AOB point requested by the Austrian delegation regarding the European Deforestation Regulation. And an information note prepared by Austria was circulated. As this is only an AOB point, I urge you not to enter into a discussion, and please stick to the limit of 1 minute. I now pass the floor to the Austrian delegation.
Sehr geehrter Herr Vorsitzender, sehr geehrte Frau Kommissarin.
Thank you very much. Chair, Commissioner, first of all, I'd like to thank the Presidency for that. I know we've been putting a lot of emphasis on the climate law, but you've given us a bit of time on this AOB point we wanted to raise, which is the deforestation regulation, which is very important to us. We have a lot of forests, we have a lot of woods, we use our forestry resources a great deal, and this, therefore, also impacts upon us. We think it has to be implemented so that it focuses on those places where it is most necessary. 16 million more hectares since the 90s, which is twice the surface area of my country. That's how much we've increased forest areas in Europe. But the deforestation regulation has a lot of shortcomings. It's in implementation, and this will have long-term consequences on the value chain of forestry and forestry products. Some of these industries are far more harmed than anywhere else or any other, and this will have an economic impact in the long term on our economies as well. We therefore believe that enough time should be around nationally for proper implementation, because now there's a lot of pressure, and we would like to suggest a few aspects of streamlining which we think will make things easier to lighten the burden. We need more explanation, a more precise input from the Commission for concrete adjustments where necessary, that we can implement them properly. But for that, we also have a stop the clock. We have to have a stop the clock for implementation from the Commission so we can do things properly. We can't rush things in with the method that's now being imposed. At various preparatory stages in other fora, we have made proposals for a stop-the-clock type approach immediately and a review clause later on, so that things could also be simplified if necessary, and the Commission should come forward to such simplification proposal, and we hope others will support us in our proposal and other member states can help us. We want to be constructive. We want this to work too.
Thank you very much. Now turning to Sweden, followed by Czechia. Romina, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lars. And I thank Austria for raising this issue today. It is an urgent issue, and we must advance quickly to use the momentum created by the Commission's proposal. The Swedish position on the deforestation regulation has been voiced clearly since the negotiations started in 2021. And while staying true to the key objectives, it is necessary to significantly reduce administrative burdens and to simplify and improve legal certainty. Proportionality needs to be consistently improved, both on administrative burden and regarding sanctions. In view of this, we welcome the Commission's initiative to simplify the deforestation legislation. Unfortunately, the proposal does not go far enough. Yes, the proposal has positive elements on simplification for businesses in the downstream supply chain. However, the new obligation in Article 5 to keep and pass on reference numbers adds a major administrative burden for companies. The Commission cannot simply solve the information system problems by shuffling those problems on European businesses and giving them less than 2 months to prepare. And it would not be a problem only for business. Paradoxically, the vast amounts of reference numbers will make it difficult and burdensome for competent authorities to control the traceability as well. If we are serious about simplifying the deforestation regulation, the reference number requirement needs to be deleted. It is a small change in the Commission's proposal, but it would lead to a substantial reduction of administrative burdens for European businesses. We look forward to rapidly continuing this discussion and to bring this file to a successful and constructive conclusion before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now Czechia, followed by Greece. Stefan.
Velice děkuji za slovo. Česká republika. Thank you very much for the floor. The Czech Republic has been repeating that the only responsible solution is the postponement of the whole regulation as requested by most of the member states, and the Commission also said so in September. We think that it is not possible to discuss the regulation. It is not possible to implement it either. The entities still do not know what to expect, and they do not have the time to adapt to the new conditions. It is unrealistic to believe that this regulation will solve all the problems relating to the information system about which we've been talking. We also proposed our suggestion to postpone the regulation. Therefore, we are in favour of the suggestion of Austria. The situation is serious. Therefore, we would like to seize the opportunity, assess the seriousness of the situation and adopt the postponement. And then in the time that we will have, we should talk about an efficient simplification of the text. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Japan. Next will be Greece, followed by the Netherlands. Efthymios, please, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Greece shares the objective of the regulation, but we have to express our concern about the excessive administrative and economic burden it places on European businesses and producers. In recent months, serious difficulties in the implementation of the regulation have particularly come to light, and we think that they should be taken seriously into account. We therefore call for more than what the Commission put on the table, i.e. for the postponement of the regulation's implementation, to allow stakeholders to adapt, and more importantly, to allow for a substantial simplification of the processes. Additionally, the scope of application must be re-examined to prevent distortions and unfair competition from third country imports. Specifically, Greece has long now highlighted the distortion of competition that will arise in the soap and soap noodles sector from imports. The issue of this product must be addressed immediately. Greece emphasises that without the necessary simplification and postponement of the implementation of the EUDR, the goal of the green transition risks being undermined by excessive bureaucracy and insufficient preparation of the involved stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now turning to Netherlands, followed by Luxembourg. Sophie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And for now, I need to make a general scrutiny reservation. And more broadly, we need to ensure that any proposal is non-discriminatory and does not create additional issues in regards to implementation and does not undermine investments already made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Luxembourg, followed by Latvia. Fabian, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chairman. We're very grateful to the Commission to come up with a simplification of the EUDR, in particular for farmers and foresters. That said, we cannot subscribe to this proposal from the Commission as it's currently drafted. We want to postpone the entry into application until all the IT problems which are stopping the regulation from being properly implemented. We want to wait until they've all been sorted out. We want substantive simplification to reduce the administrative burden for primary producers in areas where there's no risk of deforestation de facto. We also want to limit the due diligence obligations to the first placing on the market. Now, we're aware of the fact that we need to avoid any disruption to our single market, and that's why we're asking for simplification and not for deregulation. Considerable investments have been made by competent authorities and also by companies and producers across the world. So we have a certain responsibility to avoid putting this sector in a difficult position. We need to protect investments. We need clarification. We need legal certainty. And it goes without saying that this has to be in conformity and compliance with WTO rules. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Now turning to Latvia, followed by Latvia, followed by Germany.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Austria, for raising the issue. Generally, we support the regulation, but we are still concerned about the practical implementation, excessive administrative and financial burden, also after the latest Commission's proposal. Therefore, we fully support Austria's delegation distributed note, especially on two elements, stop the clock as the first, and second, further simplification efforts are needed. Thank you.
Okay, that was quick. So now we turn to Estonia, followed by Lithuania. Estonia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And we also thank our Austrian colleagues for raising this important topic. We welcome the Commission's proposal for the 6-month transitional period for micro and small operators and the intention to simplify the regulation. However, we think we need more time for all companies to adapt to the new changes and safely test the IT systems before the implementation period starts. And this is why we prefer the postponement to apply to all operators and for 1 year. On the process, of course, we call for a speedy decision-making so that changes could still take effect before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, turning to Lithuania, followed by Slovakia.
Thank you, Chairman. Lithuania supports the proposal presented by Austria. While the objectives of the EUDR are important and there are positive elements in the Commission's proposal, the current timeline does not allow for detailed examination and addressing some issues of practical implementation. Therefore, Lithuania supports postponing the application of the EUDR for all operators by 1 year. Given the time constraints, any substantive simplifications could be addressed through a separate amendment. This approach would ensure legal certainty, provide business, member states and competent authorities sufficient time to adapt, and also allow for the development of workable simplification that genuinely reduce administrative burden. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Turning to Slovakia, followed by Portugal.
Thank you, Chair. Slovakia sees the Austrian initiative positively. Like Austria, Slovakia perceives the time pressure under which the proposed simplification measures should be assessed as very problematic. We also believe that sufficient leeway should be provided for political discussions on these simplifications. Therefore, we would welcome a postponement of the regulation's application date as a first step, which would create room for a thorough assessment of the possible simplifications, including the use of existing national systems that could serve to fulfill obligations under the EUDR. Furthermore, if the Council Legal Service confirms that the introduction of a new category of countries according to the level of deforestation and forest degradation risk is compatible with the WTO rules, Slovakia would be prepared to support this request as well. Our priority until the end of the year is to adopt such postponement of the implementation which would apply to all operators and traders, regardless of their size or position in the supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Turning to Portugal, followed by Finland.
Muito obrigada. Thank you very much, Chair. We'd like to express our support to the proposal from Austria regarding issues that have been raised several times before when it comes to implementing the deforestation regulation and the impact we expect from it. The proposal the Commission has made is indeed a recognition of the difficulties that the entering forth of the regulation is posing for a number of operators and national administrations. Portugal believes that the regulation for deforestation should not come into force without properly assessing the impact. A new impact assessment is necessary to look at what's being done and the impact expected and the results and outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning to Finland, followed by Ireland.
Thank you, Minister. We would like to thank Austria for raising this important issue and also Commission for concrete simplification proposal. Simplifying the implementation is important as long as the core objectives of the regulation remain. We are concerned that despite the Commission's proposal, the administrative burden would remain significant for forested countries where the risk of deforestation is low. We see that at this stage a postponement for all actors is crucial. This would allow time to carefully prepare smooth implementation. Therefore, we find Austria's proposal as a good basis for moving forward. Finally, we support the Presidency's swift action on this matter. It's essential that we gain clarity on the situation as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning to Ireland, followed by Hungary.
Thanks very much, Chair. And Ireland can reiterate our broad support for the objectives of the regulation. We do welcome in principle the Commission's proposal to simplify and reduce the burden for farmers, forest owners and small business. But we do have some issues which require further clarification, including which businesses and operators they apply to and how to implement them. In that context, and to ensure adequate time to ensure sufficient communication with stakeholders and to avoid any disruption to supply chains, Ireland is supportive of calls for an extension of the entry into application for all operators for 1 year. This would ensure clarity for competent authorities, operators and traders, regardless of their size or their position in the supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now turning to Hungary, followed by Italy.
Thank you, Minister. We would like to thank Austria for the initiative, which we fully support. The initiative itself highlights the need for immediate action. While we appreciate the Commission's proposal, it does not address our main concerns. We call on the Presidency to promptly establish the Council's position. We regret the fact that no meaningful progress has been achieved so far. And this progress should take into account the request of vast majority of Member States to postpone the application of the regulation. Subsequently, a comprehensive simplification and a reassessment of the impact assessment will, of course, be necessary. We wish to also draw the attention to the fact that there is enormous uncertainty among the market operators in Hungary. Time is extremely limited and immediate action is needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning to Italy, followed by Spain.
Grazie Presidente.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, all. We understand the Commission started the simplification of the forestry regulation for good reasons, and we welcome that. However, we think there's more assessment of the impact that has to be taking place for businesses, for authorities, and for the whole chain, because we need proper planning. We need the IT system to be up and running for the controls and check. We need that for traceability and conformity. We need the checks and the systems to be ready. Otherwise, there's a huge extra burden for the administration, and we can't be effective or efficient. And so given that, we completely share what Austria suggested. We support them, and we think we should have an immediate stop the clock for 1 year, suspend the regulation implementation, and have a substantive review of the text to bring back a balance between simplification for business, proper capacity for authorities to carry out checks, and the right balance overall. And with that in mind, we'll cooperate with all other member states to find something that actually works and that we can all share. Thank you.
Thank you. Now Spain, followed by Poland.
Gracias. Thank you, Chair. Now, Spain regrets that we've not been able to sort out the IT problems without having to tamper with the legislative proposal. In any case, we feel that the shared objective, the one that we all have, is to stabilise this situation of uncertainty that has been generated. And we want to be constructive, but at the same time we have to be flexible so that we have a proper regulatory frame by the end of the year, so we offer stability to operators. We support the Commission's proposal. Thank you, Commission, for the work. And in addition to providing the certainty that we need, it allows us to reduce the administrative burden regarding information, and then makes life easier for producers, primary producers in areas with low risk of deforestation. So we want this to be approved in full, as the Commission suggests, without having to reopen the whole thing and renegotiate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning to Poland, followed by Slovenia.
Thank you very much, Chair.
we support Austrian and other colleagues who called for an immediate stop the clock for all operators. We see the need for more ambitious simplification, solving the legal uncertainties, the overall complexity and unnecessary administrative burden.
Thank you. And final country on the list is Slovenia. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And I would like to thank Austria for highlighting this important issue. We welcome the effort of the Commission to further prevent deforestation and loss of biodiversity, but we share the misgivings of some other member states on the disproportionate requirements for the farmers, forest owners and companies. That's why we support the proposed amendment of the regulation. The simplification for additional stakeholders in the supply chain is definitely a step in the right direction, but we still estimate that some further work is needed, for example, on some aspects of simplification as well as on the postponement. The requirements for the big and medium-sized companies should enter into force at the end of 26 and for everyone else at the end of 27. Regardless of everything, we would like to reach an agreement as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all your interventions, and I will ask the Commissioner to take the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Lars, dear ministers. Thank you, Norbert, for presenting Austria's position and also for providing your feedback on the Commission's proposal, and also thank you for saying that you would like to be pragmatic, and thank you all for your inputs. I've been listening very carefully. I presented this proposal to you at the last meeting on the day of its adoption by the College. Since then, it has also been presented in the Agriculture Council under an AOB and also discussed in Coreper last week. However, I think it's also worth to briefly recall its key elements. First, we propose to lower the administrative burden for farmers, foresters and other economic operators, while also reducing the data load of the EUDR EITC database, all without compromising the objective of the law. Our proposal limits the obligations to submit due diligence statements to the first operator who places a product on the market. Downstream operators and traders will be relieved of this obligation. Secondly, we propose to exempt from the obligation to submit a due diligence statement micro and small primary operators from a low-risk country who sell their goods directly on the European market. They would only need a simple one-off declaration. If the relevant information is already available in another public database, no such one-off declaration is needed at all. The overwhelming majority of farmers and foresters within the EU will benefit from this simplification. Thirdly, we propose a number of postponements. A vast majority of farmers and foresters will have a full additional year until the 30th December 2026 to comply. For everybody else, we propose a period of 6 months until June 2026, during which authorities would not carry out controls or checks and enforcement to allow a gradual phasing in of the regulation. Norbert, I welcome that you support our two objectives that gives more time and also to simplify EUDR. Your proposals, however, at this stage only go to the first step to give more time and leave the simplification for later. So allow me to stress that the Commission has tabled a single coherent legislative proposal covering both the timeline and the substance. We do not consider a separate stop-the-clock initiative to be a politically viable option. It will just postpone decisions, and we may find ourselves in exactly the same situation as today in 1 year's time. Economic operators expect urgent clarity and predictability, both on the content and on the timing on the law. They need to prepare for both. It is time that we make and take the decisions and provide real simplification here and now. We must create certainty for the operators. When it comes to substance of simplification, you ask for concrete simplification measures, including the minimis thresholds, recognition of existing systems and minimal reporting requirements along the value chain. Our proposal goes quite a long way in exactly that direction. We provide exemptions for 95 to 99% of operators in all low-risk countries. With our package, we address the main concern of those who are also suggesting, some of you did today, a zero-risk category. But without creating, without having to create a new category as such. Creating a new category of countries might sound simple and easy, but from my experience with 1 year of EUDR implementation, I can tell you it is not. It will be lengthy, divisive, and I'm not even sure how many countries could realistically qualify as having a zero risk of deforestation or illegal logging, include inside the EU. I also want to warn against the risk of circumvention. Custom procedures do not record the country of cultivation or harvest, a key element for verifying compliance. And as a result of this, it would be impossible to confirm whether products genuinely originate from a zero-risk area when importers declare their goods as exempt based on the country of origin. And this would be a disadvantage for your foresters and farmers who comply with the law. Dear Ministers, the Commission's proposal strikes a careful balance between the need to fight deforestation while reducing data load of the IT system and administrative burden for companies, and also giving more time to stakeholders that need it. And let us not forget what is the alternative. It is the EUDR as it currently stands, which would enter into full application for all farmers and foresters and all companies in the value chain, putting the stability of the IT system at risk. So with that, I say I listened very carefully and I count on your support for a rapid Council position. This would also send a strong signal of support to the Parliament and would also help for the timely conclusion of the legislative proposal. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Council has taken note of the information provided by the Austrian delegation and the Commission, as well as interventions by delegations. So before concluding, we need to go back shortly to the agenda point of the NDC. We will be in a non-public session, so could I please have turned cameras off?